stream that we're doing after a qualifying session. I just want to get right into it. That was the first qualifying session that we had this year. Exciting stuff. I know I have been missing Formula One. You probably have as well. And what could I say? It was exciting to be back out there. The the feeling that we get from these qualifying sessions is much different than from any testing or any of the preseason action that we have. The practices are fine, but the qualifying sessions, that is what it's all about. This is when everything comes down to the wire, down to the seconds, and today it delivered. We're going to start off right into it with the Q3 session. Now, for the Q3 sessions, nobody's pulling out all the stops. Nobody's going as hard as they can. In fact, the two Ferraris tried to get into Q2 with medium tires, which was pretty risky, I would say. Obviously, it didn't end up working out because they did have to end up using a set of their soft tires, but it was a bold move. I guess we can call it a bold move, but with Ferrari strategists, you never truly know if it's a bold move or just a dumb idea. Does not matter. However, the Alpines right off the bat, we can tell that they are weak. They are going to have quite a few issues this year. It's not going to be an easy run for them. Finishing 19th and 20th, it's just not looking good. Their car's heavy, doesn't turn well. They're way behind the field. In fact, if I look here, I can see they had 130.793 and 130.948 for Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. That's even behind Logan Sargent, who didn't have a great lap. Both of the Kick Saubers, it's not what we'd like to see. We were expecting it. They said they didn't expect to be competitive coming out of the bat, but nevertheless, we were hoping they would do better. I mean, last year they started off much stronger than this year. I guess we'll have to see, but as of now, that Alpine is looking very weak, and I truly hope they'll be putting in some work to make it better, because it's not going to last if this is how it stays. They're not going to be fighting for points, and they said a couple years ago that within 5 years they hope to be fighting for wins. It's not going too well, but we'll see. They have a lot of time to make up for it, so hopefully they put in the work, bring out some upgrades, and towards maybe halfway of the season, maybe they can do what McLaren did last year and turn it around. That would be spectacular. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They have some time to work it out, but as of right now, it's not necessarily what we like to see. Now, another thing I want to touch upon is Leclerc already at the start of the season wasn't happy. I don't know if he wasn't happy because of the traffic that he was dealing with, or he wasn't happy because at the end of Q1, after he had already set a pretty decent lap time on a fresh set of softs, the team decided to send him out again for a hot lap with another pair of softs. He might have just not wanted to use this pair and save it for maybe another attempt in Q2 or Q3, or have more fresh soft pairs for the race, but he wasn't happy with the team, and he made that clear. It wasn't a big deal. He ended up aborting the lap because his time was enough to keep him safe, but it wasn't a great start, and hopefully this isn't an omen of what's to come for Ferrari in the future. But on the other hand, how good does that green look on that Kick Sauber car? Some people may find it disgusting. I think it looks amazing. I don't know, it's different, it's bold, I'm all for it. So they may not be quick, but at least their car looks good. That's one thing they have going for them at the moment. As for the Williams, Albon is still so much quicker than Logan. I mean, Logan is nowhere near Albon. In fact, he had a 130.7, where Albon had, what did Albon have here? A 130.3, and that's just not good enough. To compare I think Albon was in I don't remember what, I think he was 9th in Q1, and then Sargent was towards the bottom. He has to do better because his seat is in jeopardy this year. The first year you're a rookie, you're okay, you can make mistakes, but second year you need to perform, or there's a lot of people that would be looking to steal his spot next year if they can. There wasn't much that happened in that Q1 session. Nothing that we didn't really expect. I was surprised to see both of the Racing Bulls get out of Q1. Both of the Haases, that was pretty shocking to me, but we'll get into that a bit later. And nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we could see which teams were strong, which teams weren't strong, so that was okay. In Q2, we also didn't have too many unexpected turns. We had Haas, which was surprisingly quick. I mean, Haas even got one of their cars into Q3. And this year, I had them predicted to finish dead last. Again, this is just the first qualifying session. It's not an actual race, so we don't know where their pace truly is. last year and the last couple years, they'd always been decent in qualifying pace, but then their race pace just disappoints and fails them completely. But as of now, Hulkenberg, he's quick. He's quick on the qualifying laps. He got out of Q2. It's true his teammate Kevin Magnussen didn't manage to get out of Q2, but having one car in Q2 and one car in Q3, I'd say it's a pretty solid start for Gene Haas. He has to be happy with it. I mean, they're under new leadership. This is definitely a nice morale boost to the team. I think it's good things to come in the future for them if they can keep this up. But we'll see tomorrow how they are in race pace and what this means for them going forward. On the other hand, Aston Martin showed that they have a quick car. But the problem with Aston Martin is that one of their drivers is so quick and the other is Lance Stroll. He just isn't. He's okay. He's mediocre. He's always going to be a debate whether he deserves that spot or he's there because of his father. And he has proven himself. His track record is there. He's been good in the past. He's won championships. He is a good driver, but no matter what he does, especially if your teammate is somebody like Fernando Alonso, it's hard to even try to live up to those standards. And he got out in Q2, but then when your teammate goes into Q3 and performs incredibly well in Q3, he ended up qualifying 6th. The discrepancy is there, and that's where you notice it the most, is between these two drivers, where one is doing very well and is very quick. And Stroll did very well in Q1. He finished P2, I think. Now, of course, not everybody's going all out. Some of the cars might have not even done a final hot lap. But he did pretty well in Q1, and then in Q2, he just wasn't able to replicate that. Now, that's a car that I think shouldn't be going out in Q2, not with the pace that they have. So he needs to fix that. Last year, he had the excuse. I understand his hand was broken, but this year, he just needs to be quicker. Besides that, we had the two Racing Bulls going out in Q2, as well as Albon going out. But again, for Albon, that was pretty good. I mean, he managed to get that car into Q2 compared to his teammate who was out in Q3. And we also had the second Haas, Kevin Magnussen's Haas, going out in Q2. Again, no big surprises here. I would say Aston Martin would be the only surprise, who maybe we could have said should be switched with the other Haas of Hulkenberg. But Hulkenberg's quick, and if he's quick, then he deserves to be up into Q3, so that's no problem. I would like to see more from Lance Stroll, especially as a fellow Canadian. I've gotten accustomed to him being far below Fernando Alonso, but he can do more with that car, I'm sure of it. On the other hand, the fact that Charles Leclerc managed to surpass Verstappen in Q2 was a dimmer of hope for the season going forward. I do think Max Verstappen didn't go out for his final push lap. He stayed in the garage because he had already set such a solid time before then. But it's still a sign of good things to come, that at least at one point they're competitive and close in nature and close in timings, which is what we want to see, especially at the beginning of the season when they have so much time to keep improving their car and keep bringing upgrades. Everybody's looking towards Japan, so Ferrari, we're giving you until Japan to bring those big upgrades, and then we want to see some results. But on to the one that truly matters, Q3. Q3 is where everything, all the chips are on the table. This is where it comes down to the wire. You have to perform and you have to put the best time possible. Now, Hamilton was weak in Q3. I don't know what it is. I actually had my money on him as well to beat Russell. It didn't happen. I was expecting more from him. You know, this seems to be a repeated offense where yesterday everybody was raving about how quick they are, how they have pace. It just didn't happen. That car is not quick enough. Lewis Hamilton qualified in, what did he qualify? I don't even remember. 9th, I believe he qualified in. That's not going to cut it. He can do better than that. He's way off of his teammate. George Russell qualified in 3rd. It's a big difference between those two cars. And it's the same car, and Hamilton needs to be better. So Hamilton had a weak showing today. I had the McLarens much higher up. Now, I think this is their true pace because both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri finishing 7th and 8th very close together. They have some improvements to make, but at least we see that their drivers, that's where the car's supposed to be. When those two drivers are qualifying so close to each other, then you know that's the true position of the car because it just is genuinely the car's pace. Another thing I wanted to touch on is Ferrari's pretty close to Red Bull. Now, every year I know we get the same thing. Charles Leclerc is great at qualifying sessions, but then when it comes down to the race, he just can't keep up with Max. But this year, or this race at least, or this qualifying session, I'm hopeful again. As with every new season, I'm hopeful that this time tomorrow we will be seeing a Charles Leclerc that can bring the fight to Max. He qualified, uh, he had 130.2, whereas Max had 130.0 something, 03, I think it was. Now, this isn't too far off, but it's still a long way to go. I mean, considering that Max, he didn't seem to be stressed. He just went out there. He's like a robot. Goes out, performs. That's all he does. It wasn't hard. He just went, did his job, and that's it. Leclerc's close, so he's going to bring the fight to him. But behind him, we have George Russell in third. And this year, I don't know if Carlos Sainz is going to be so open to playing the team game, especially knowing that he's going to be leaving. Everybody thought Sainz was going to be doing better this qualifying session because he had been better throughout the practice sessions and the testing sessions and whatnot. I'm a Leclerc fan. My money's always on Leclerc, but he's just better at qualifying. That's what he does. He's one lap pace god. There. He's the best at extracting everything, all the potential from a car on one lap. And today, he tried, but it wasn't good enough. You could tell this wasn't his best because when he's at his best, he can overtake Max Verstappen no matter what car Max Verstappen has. If he has a competitive Ferrari, he will overtake him. So he may not be fully comfortable in that car yet. In interviews that I have seen, he's smiling, he's happy, he keeps talking about the upgrades that are coming. He may know something we don't know, and I hope he does. As of right now, Ferrari's not there yet, but if they can just keep it competitive for the first couple of races, keep it close, it's going to be a good season. Just start better than last year. Get both of those drivers up into as high scoring positions as you can tomorrow. It'll be good. But for the qualifying session, from Ferrari's point of view, it's okay. A 2-4 start, you can work with that as long as they don't hit each other. If Carlos Sainz runs into the back of Charles tomorrow, it's going to be a long season. But Carlos, please, we don't want any of that. So watch out. Turn 1. I know from F1 2023, turn 1's killer. Turn 1, it's where all our accidents happen. So go to the settings and turn off that first lap collisions. Make sure it doesn't happen tomorrow. Don't cost the team points. Like I said, Verstappen, not much more to say about him. Lightning. He's lightning quick. He's the best on the grid at the moment. He's continuing right where he left off last year. I don't think he's the best qualifier ever, which goes to show again how quick that car is. But even when he's not in first position or he has some type of resistance or some type of competition, he can come out on that very last lap, very last hot lap, and bring it. It's like he's a robot sometimes. Generally, when he's in the car, I feel like he's a robot. I can't fault him. I can't hate him. He did what he had to do, qualified first, and Perez qualified fifth. So it's not like Red Bull dominated this without any type of question. He was just quicker. He's locked in all the time when he's in that car, and you can't fault him for it. Now, of course, this is just the first qualifying session of the year, and although qualifying sessions don't determine how the race actually goes, this is definitely a show where we know for sure nobody's sandbagging at this point. Everybody had those engines turned up. So this is the pace that we're seeing. This is what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. It's okay for me. This is more or less what I thought was going to happen. I did think the McLarens would be a bit quicker. The Mercedes are about where I envisioned them. I did, again, think that the Mercedes wouldn't be as quick as the McLarens, but there's still time to see how that unfolds. Sergio Perez, fifth's not good enough, but given benefit of the doubt for a while, he just has to keep improving because otherwise, I think, and I think many of you think, that's not going to be his seat next year, but there's still 24 races to go before we can determine that for sure. So we have a lot of time to see whether that plays out in his favor or not. I'm sure there's enough suitors that would love that Red Bull seat, so that's no problem. No shortage of drivers for Red Bull. Alonso, hopefully he can do some overtakes like he did last year. Would be great to see him have some battles, and great to see multiple teams in contention for the Constructors' Championship, basically. And it has to be a consistent battle from the beginning of the season all the way until the end. Because we know Red Bull's going to be consistent. We know they're going to be winning the majority of races. I mean, obviously there's no way of knowing this for sure, but given past season and given what we've seen so far from Max Verstappen's pace in qualifying, it's very likely that they'll be winning a good chunk of the races. So other teams can't let up. We can't have starts where it's weak for the first 4 or 5 races because then it's tough to catch up. And if we don't get other teams winning, at least make it competitive. That's all I have to say for the qualifying session. The race is tomorrow. that's when we'll be doing another one of these lives after the race. We'll have more information. It's a different ballgame when it's a race. Qualifying sessions, 1 lap. Some drivers are quick, some aren't. But during the race, we have a lot of laps, a lot of time. We have pit strategies. Maybe some teams will be lacking on the pit strategies, pit stops. First race of the season. It's not like you're in the groove of it. You have to ease yourself into it, and they haven't had the chance. They've been practicing, but it's different between practice sessions and real game situations. So that's all I have to say for you guys today. We're going to be doing this again tomorrow. We'll be catching up tomorrow after the race. I will be posting this one on X as well, probably, or I'll link the live for tomorrow in X as well. I'll link it for this one too. Make sure to subscribe. I will be tweeting as well, or Xing, or whatever, posting on X throughout the race as well, so you can follow me over there. I'll post my handle in the description. Thank you guys again, and see you tomorrow. Bye.